Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, and we have today with us Ananta. He is the founder of a blockchain, layer 1 blockchain, which is MOI blockchain. Sir, thank you so much and welcome to Crypto Conversation. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you, Shiv?
All good, all good. So I'm looking forward to this conversation. Before we get into the project itself, would you like to tell us about your things that you have built in the past and what led you to MOI blockchain?
Sure. So, as a background, I'm a computer engineer by background. Long time back, uh, uh, and then I was part of the initial team which built Oracle in the late 80s and early 90s. Then I was with Anderson Consulting and Accenture. I was a senior partner with Accenture, managing their data analytics practice out of New York. And then I had a couple of entrepreneurial ventures, one in education and one in skill development, and started this journey around 2017, this whole blockchain journey. So at heart, I'm a math nerd and then and a passionate technologist, but obviously, given my background, I've used that to see how we can add value from a business sense. So that's what my background is.
Great. And then having so much of experience and have been worked with so many projects, what led you to blockchain? What did you find so interesting about blockchain tech and that pulled you in?
Yeah, this whole idea of how you can personally transfer values using technology and math as opposed to using intermediaries. No dig on intermediaries, but in real life, most of our interactions are peer-to-peer. And so as you go to a digitally interacting world or the digital society, I thought blockchain, the ability to do disintermediated, or what I call as personally intermediated transfers between two participants, I thought was a very interesting concept, which allows me to use the technology the way I want, as opposed to technology telling how I should behave, right? So, which is kind of becoming critical as we move to a digitally interacting world. So, in real life, when you and I talk about it, we just talk and we decide what to say and what not to say, what to control, what not to control, what to share. So, I thought the blockchain and the technology and the fundamentals behind that allows you to do that, and that's what excited me. So
Yeah, it kind of gives you the freedom to build apps and things on top, which is not relying on any bigger, on a Facebook or a Google. So that's quite fascinating. So let's talk about MOI blockchain now. So we already have sort of Ethereum blockchain and a few others. I also believe that we are still very early into the space, and it's very difficult to say who is going to be the winner, or maybe there will be multiple winners. There will be multiple blockchain. We live in a multi-blockchain world. Tell us, what is MOI blockchain and how is it different from others blockchain, and specifically, maybe it's not different, but what's your goal with MOI blockchain?
yeah, so very, very good question. Sure. So the name MOI is moi in French, which means me, right? It's my own. So that sort of is an interesting way to start this. So absolutely, there has been a lot of progress in the last maybe 10, 15 years in this whole peer-to-peer computing, blockchain, and the names that you mentioned, Ethereum, Bitcoin. Great technological progress. But where we are different and where we think the industry needs to go is there is a change in how we use technology. When you start in 2008, when you looked at Bitcoin, when it got started, it was all about a simple use case around ability for you to transfer value or money with intermediaries who are anonymous, right? So that's the whole idea of why it got started, and the ability for you to do that in a very trusted manner is was Bitcoin was, right? It's just a single currency which allowed you to do that. And then in 2014, if you look at the Miami Bitcoin conference where Vitalik unveiled Ethereum, which is a groundbreaking point. the fundamental point was to make those one idea was to take that one crypto asset and allow you to have thousands of crypto assets, right? How do you get a general purpose platform which supports thousands of crypto assets? So that's great. So that gave a lot of explosion. But fast forward to 2022, it's no longer about apps and crypto tokens. It's all about millions of digital assets which are getting tokenized. So the point has moved from apps and crypto assets, crypto tokens to people and digital assets, right? So it has moved, the fulcrum has moved from an app-centric world to an interaction world, right? So now we are thinking about a world which has got trillions of digital assets which are going to come up, and each controlled by the participant in different way based on their participant preferences, right? So really personalized, digitally interacting world. So that's foundationally different from a token-centric and an app-centric world, right? So it's a people-centric world that we're getting into, where you're playing games, whether you're using NFTs, whether you're using and today, if you look at, so that requires a foundational change. So today, most of the technologies are very app-centric and system-centric, and they are not participant-centric, right? So it's the participant doesn't have a seat at the table, and that's what the recognition we had in 2017. We said we'll get to a digitally interacting world where you no longer are connected by technology. We operate by technology, right? So it's a very peer-to-peer, people-centric, digitally interacting world. And that requires participant to be the foundational dimension of competition. Let me give you a simple example, right? So say you want to go buy a cup of coffee and want to pay through your pay through a digital asset, or if you want to go and buy a house in Beverly Hills, the experiences are completely different. Different participants will need to have different levels of experiences for something like this, right? So today that's not available because it's a very system-centric and app-centric. So MOI, for the first time, foundationally brings participants as a part of competition. And that allows you to have every interactions personalized based on the participant preferences, the data structure, the consensus, the compute, all of them are centered around the participant. That will allow you to support these trillions of tokens that are going to come up in a very digitally interacting world. So that's the foundational difference.
Interesting. And where are we in terms of development? Because I just read that the testnet is live for MOI, and so is it like anybody can go ahead and test the networks and
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, we have about 1,000 nodes today on the test network. So our objective is to get a very flat internet-like model, which anybody can join. So our plan is to about 500,000 nodes in about 3 years. And we have solved several of the consensus, concurrency, scalability, security problems in a very interesting way by using something called a context. Context represents your unique representation of yourself in the network. And so you yourself are able to be the intermediary of your transaction. So for example, if Shiv and Ananta were doing a value transfer, Sam and Mark could do another value transfer at the same time, because in our network, what we lock is Shiv and Ananta and not the general ledger that gets locked in a way. So it's a very participant-centric model. So we can have hyper concurrency, millions of transactions. In fact, we have published that we'll be able to do millions of transactions on a 500,000 node network in about 2 years. So the network is live. The test net is on. We have about 1,000 nodes on that already, 1,000 plus nodes. Anybody can download and join and be part of the testnet. So it's an incentivized testnet. So we are being very democratic. We have a lot of tokens blocked in for the people who want to participate in it. Like even before we have launched, right? So we have been very careful about why we want to do this ground up research from 2017. We have multiple published articles and patents, which shows the credibility of the project. And then we have an engineering, which is already live and ready. And we plan to have our we have multi-stage mainnet model. What I mean by that is it's not one mainnet, so it's a multi-stage mainnet model. So we already have something working in a provenance layer already, so, which is public. Over the course of the next 6 months, all the capabilities will become public, and we'll be in a big mainnet soon. But today you can join the network, you can be part of it, and see what it can do.
Amazing. So the testnet is live right now. I'll leave a link perhaps in the description, so anyone can go ahead, click on the link, and test the network.
Absolutely.
And you're saying within 6 months, next 6 months, you are aiming at launching the mainnet, and it will have different versions. Like it'll keep upgrading. That's amazing. Can you also tell us like? So one of the things that, of course, everyone, especially in the investment and retail community, have is that okay. So for example, as we are talking, Arbitrum just announced their token launch, right? They launched it out. So one of the interesting thing, of course, is like okay, because since we are actually building something which is user centric, and what it also means that there's an incentive for the users, right? So, and that's why the whole blockchain space is so amazing, because there's not one Mark Zuckerberg, but the whole community, being a part of, something big. Could you tell us like what about are you aiming at the token launch as well along with the mainnet launch as it goes live in next
Yes.
6 months or something?
Yes, absolutely, because it's a public network. We will have the token launched as well. Yes.
And so let's talk about some of the backing that you may have got from some of the VCs. Would you like to talk about some fundings that project may have received, attracted?
Yeah, we have multiple backers, but unfortunately, I can't share their names.
Sure,
On this.
sure.
So we have multiple backers who believe in this, who foundationally see the difference in alignment. So just to take back, I think it's a very foundationally different project. It's based on some, as I told you, some patents which we globally obtained, which not from a commercial standpoint that allows us from a credibility and validation standpoint. The patents are power. So the IP is public. So, and so it's very well supported project, and so we got quite a few number of backers.
And so going ahead, of course, one of the important part of any project is really community building and, and having as many people as supporting the project. What is your plan going ahead, like in terms of like what kind of dApps are you expecting? What kind of, so I'm talking about both in terms of the community and also the builders and developers getting on board on MOI.
Sure. Yeah, so there are two things that you're saying. Obviously, this idea of context-aware blockchains and contextual compute is what you're talking about. The people is a foundationally different idea. So we are working with a lot of colleges globally. There is a project called Moi Nation, which is really to build a group of people who believed in this foundational user ownership and control and personalization. And that's a ground-up activity. It is not just towards MOI, it is the understanding of contextual compute and participants being a foundational dimension of computation. So that initiative go-to-market is called Moi Nation. We have it, people can join. There's a website available. People can participate. There is knowledge sharing sessions going on. We provide people 100 hours of training in multiple levels, so which allows people to get through. So we work with several colleges in Bangalore. I was there last time. Multiple colleges we went to. It's a global initiative. That's one, right? Create enough people understanding around this so that this is a sustainable, long-term value for all. The second one is for developers. As I told you, it's a completely incentivized testnet, so people can go and be part of that. So they can build, they can get incentivized, they can. So that allows people to be. So we have allocated a significant portion of our tokens towards this effort, because we understand the power of community. Right, community drives these kind of projects. So that's the other thing that we have done. The interesting use case, for example, one of the key examples I will give developers who is today, if you want to create some kind of a token, in today's world, even in Ethereum, you have to write about 100 to 200 line Solidity code to make it happen. So that could be pretty daunting for somebody who starts. In our model, it is codeless. 80 to 90% of the work is primarily codeless. So you just have to interact with the network and deploy a token just by making an interaction. So that allows for a lot of adoption. So we have made it very simple for developers to get on. And because that's one barrier to entry. It's not that it's not a dig, but then if I have to write a 200 line of Solidity code, which is it's a fairly complex language to learn, there are barriers to entry. So we have eliminated by making a lot of activity codeless. So you can go in, you can launch your token in a very simple fashion and test the product out. And obviously, as you go along, you can increase the sophistication. That's one of the what we call as interaction state machine, is your ability to get in very easy and add complexity as you go along, so that you don't have to bring an cannon to the fly every time, shoot a fly every time, right? So as to say, because if I'm a beginner and if I have to write a Solidity code, if I have all the power, then I make errors in security, errors in, it's only natural, right? So we protect that by allowing different degrees of sophistication that you can take as you go along. And that, I would say, is a foundational value for developers and allows them to graduate into this field quickly.
Amazing. I know that you mentioned that you were in Bangalore. Are you actually planning to run some hackathons and something like this?
Yes, maybe some early May we would have a hackathon around this. So that's the plan. The marketing team is working on it, but we'll have several hackathons over the next few months to get more acclimatized. The team is available. There's a Discord channel. There's a Telegram channel, very active. So I think people should join the Telegram channel and just go after it. I think we are a very open and transparent project. So the developers are always available for any help, any mistakes. More importantly, feedback from the community, right? So
yeah, these hackathons are going to be like in India, or what all countries you're going to be running this hackathon?
It's going to be global, but obviously we will have more. India is a very large developer market now, so quite a bit in India, right? If you look at it, I think India beat everybody else from a number of developers doing Web3
Absolutely,
today.
yeah.
So that's an exciting space, and I think we'll run quite a bit in India.
Cool. So I guess the testnet is already live. Anyone who wants to look at it, just click on the link and have a look at it and test. What else can people do? So you already mentioned people can join Discord, follow Twitter, and perhaps you have all the updates there for the project. Is that right?
Right. So join Twitter, join Discord, join Telegram.
Right.
Test it out and give us feedback. I think it's an interesting new idea where it's your internet, so you need to take control of that. So I think the attempt this year is to make user own and control the network in a foundational way, not to take anything away from the other people. So it's a model where we want the technology to enable us and not control us. So that's the shift that we're trying to make happen. And
absolutely.
we love all your support.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. This was really an introductory conversation about MOI, and I'm looking for many more such conversations. And I'm just going to leave all the links, and so you can click on the link and follow. Thank you so much for this conversation. Anything, any message that you want to give before we wrap up?
So we are getting into a digitally interacting world. We're going to live, eat. If you're not, we're going to live, eat, and do all your things through
metaverse.
Digital. So I think user ownership and control and participant centricity is very key. That's what we are attempting to do. We are trying to build the internet of millions of nodes where anybody can put their node and be part of a network. So the technology is out there to help this. We can get further along only if the community and people see the value of foundational user ownership and control, and would welcome for people to participate.
Amazing. With that, thank you so much for time, and I'm looking forward to many more.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Take care.